Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at purposely.com.
Hello, parents, and welcome back to our conversation on parenting AI well. Last time we talked about what AI is, some of the potential benefits, and the concern of relational AI. If you have not listened to that episode, please go back to it. Today, then, we're extending from that relational AI concern come two more concerns, deepfakes and sextortion. Again, this is a conversation that is not appropriate for young ears, so find a time where you can listen to it or just have your olders around, but it is an intentional conversation that we're going to have deliberately so that we're informed and equipped and then empowered to raise kids who love God and use tech. With that, let's jump in. The next one that we're going to be talking about is deepfakes. Deepfakes are troubling. 1 in 8 teenagers in the US know someone who has been deepfaked. So in this circumstance, when we talk deepfakes, they can kind of be cute. You have, famous people dancing together that aren't even alive anymore. Or you have, a famous individual singing a song in their voice, but with lyrics from a person they definitely didn't do. There's, a Joe Biden one. But then they pivot. They pivot to less endearing and more mocking individuals. And then they pivot to where this is the most recent one, XAI, formerly Twitter's AI, Grok, posted by the CEO of X, that you could use this to take the clothes off individuals. So this is called a Nudify app. And Grok is one of the main perpetrators of this. And it was shown to be an option through the feed of the individual leading this company. So, and let's be very clear, actually, I said the CEO, it was Elon Musk. I don't want you to jump to conclusions if I mess that up. I actually didn't search who is the acting CEO of X. He has his hands in so many pots, I don't always know what he's doing. Elon Musk posted, and in one, it was him put into a bikini, and the other one, it was a woman without clothes superimposed on the side of one of his rockets. And this is concerning because he did this through his personal accounts, effectively being like, look what X or Grok can do. And over the course of 9 days, 4.4 million photos were put through that process. And of those, more than half were images of women and children. So the other portion was men, but women and children, 4.4 million videos put through the Nudify process in 9 days. So that's concerning because these apps, there's hundreds of these things. They typically hide under different names. There'll be what do they call them? Anime filters, or there'll be like a beautify app, like a filter app, like, oh, we can adjust the way you look, or there'll be like body augmentation. They'll like go that, but they don't typically call themselves Nudify apps. But this is as close as it did, and a platform that everyone has access to, that's free to use, that's generally gets through all the filters. So that was concerning, and it is showing real world harm. So when 1 in 8 people say, I know someone this has happened to, we are talking about minors. So it's illegal to create this content. And we are talking about in schools. So we are finally getting cases where typically it's a young man, it's not always a young man, but typically it's a young man who takes an image of a classmate, typically a girl, nudifies it and then shares it, maybe through social media, but maybe just airdrop in text. So what happens is that young person wakes up to images or videos of himself or herself participating in acts they never participated in, that are now going against their public perception, how others think about them, but also how people treat them. Even if it isn't real, even if it isn't true, the impacts of this are real. So it didn't happen, but it still changes the way people look at you. Some people in judgment, some people in, should we call it, enthusiasm for what they just witnessed. And now they're going to begin texting you and messaging you and saying things in the hallways because they thought that was exciting and cool. And they now think that you are exciting and cool because of this thing that never happened and isn't true. And yet it's still very real in the way it affects your life, your mental health, your treatment socially. This is a common form of bullying now. I mean, we're talking 1 in 8 is a wild number, and that number is growing. We know that with the next thing we talked about, sextortion, only a fraction of those actually get reported. And we believe the same is true with deepfakes. That when that happens, if it doesn't blow up to the scale of everyone in the school having it, a lot of kids are just ignoring it. So what should you do? You need that relationship again so that your child is willing to tell you there's a lot of shame involved. We need our children to know that this is not their fault. So where they're getting the images is either just someone took one in the hall or at lunch or whatever, or they swiped it off of the internet. It's not your fault. We have to be clear on that. This doesn't change your value. Yes, people, this is their mistake, and this says more about them than it says about you. And there's action we're going to take. We're going to tell the school. We're going to tell the local police. We're going to report it if it was posted on social media to the social media companies. Social media companies are slowly becoming aware of this, and they're starting to see, like, the European Union just is investigating whether Grok needs some kind of lawsuit put against it, some kind of external boundaries. And while that may not come up with anything in this instance, that shows other individuals like, oh, like external boundaries might be needed if minors are getting hurt because of decisions being made by tech companies. So that is slow progress. That's coming because parents and young people are coming forward with their stories. So if this has happened to you, please tell the school. Please tell the police. Please tell the tech company. It's the only way we can move forward. Yes, I know there's a lot of shame in this. Parents, no, this does not mean you're a bad parent. This doesn't mean that you didn't have enough boundaries up and that you somehow failed your child. This means that this tech is massive in terms of its power and its abilities and its reach. It's getting into the lives of our children before we even know what it can do. And young people, let's be serious, they're dumb. Their frontal cortex is not completed. So when you give a 13-year-old boy the option to do something he probably thought was funny, frankly, some of them probably do it out of predatory behavior or out of a desire to harm others. But there are kids who are just like, oh, hey, you know what we should do? We should enter so-and-so into this app and take off clothes. I'm not excusing the behavior. I'm saying it doesn't have to be malicious intent to have real-world harm to real-world people that cannot be excused. That young person who did it because he or she thought it was funny should absolutely still go through the process of police and academic and technological reprimand and repercussions. Referencing a story I've told you before, there was a young man who at 2 a.m. he had been sent a nude from a girl he was dating at the time. And his friend was like, hey, that'd be funny if you sent that out to our group chat. And at 2 a.m., he believed it would be funny. He had real-world repercussions, including a felony. For his case, it's good that he did not get charged with proliferation of child pornography because she was a minor and he was a minor. But he did get a felony. I want to say it was sexual assault, I believe is what it fell under. And he did lose his chance to join the military. And he told me this story so that I could tell other students this story. And so I tell you, that is not a failure on anyone but him. And it was because of loving people surrounding that girl that he got the help he needed to recognize this isn't a joke, this isn't okay, it has real world consequences, and making this mistake does not make you a bad person. That was a bad choice. This young man is currently working in my hometown. He will be a great dad. He's a grounded person, and he needed that slap from society and from people who love this girl to be like, that wasn't okay. It wasn't funny. And it was a mistake. It has real world costs that you are going to feel. She feels them too, but you're going to feel those as well. That's what we need to do when we talk about deepfakes, and specifically when it comes to sexualized deepfakes of non-consensual sexual material being created digitally and then being dispersed digitally or in person. Or through the internet or through technology locally, maybe not through social media platforms. So we do need to know that that's out there. We do need to parent that well because someone's kid is making that stuff. And maybe it's ours. And maybe they thought it was funny. It's not. We need to address that thoroughly and repeatedly in love, focusing our kids not just to the don't do this, but towards the, hey, let's make sure we're using tech that reflects Jesus, that supports love and joy and peace and patience and kindness, that fits Philippians 4:8. Because deepfaking someone for nudes doesn't. And we want to make sure that we are supporting them because also you don't know who's consuming that and what behaviors you're feeding when you put that out there. Like you did it as a joke for your friends and then it ends up on the internet with people that are definitely not your friend and definitely not looking out for the best in that individual. Parents, as we strive to raise kids who love God and use tech, it's intimidating to look at this next stage of life and think about what academics may look like for them. When you're thinking about college, consider George Fox University for your children because of three things. First, it's going to give you a more intimate, known environment where they have a focus on being known personally, academically, and spiritually. Your child will grow in their faith. 93% of undergrad students at George Fox last year, through the 2025 academic year, said that being at George Fox has helped them grow in their relationship with Jesus. We also want them to grow academically, which means being a part of a university with rigorous academic standards and opportunities to be engaged. They have a nationally recognized engineering, nursing, and education programs, as well as chances to study abroad here within the U.S. and then internationally. And finally, personally, to be part of a vibrant campus atmosphere where you can play intramural sports or part of their NCAA Division III athletic programs with 23 sports available. The goal here is to go to a place that's going to support your goals, not try to make you support theirs. To have that goal be to raise you up to be all God's called you to be, and to truly equip your young person with in my case, my sons or my daughter, to love God, and then from their love of God to go wherever God has called them. And that includes being equipped with a degree that'll help them do that, to be missionally equipped to love and serve others, to lead where God has planted them, and to know the gospel for themselves, to be able to share it with others. So George Fox University is an amazing resource for our kids, for our community here in the Northwest, and for anyone who's looking to raise up a young person who can love God and from that, love others. Third and finally, let's talk about sextortion. If you take relational AI and deepfakes, you get a horrific monster called sextortion, where you put your child on social media and they start conversing with others. Some of those others are deepfake children. So they're teenagers, but they're not really teenagers. They're from some other country, typically from some other country. And those individuals get them to share nudes because they've deepfaked a teenager, and they share a nude and be like, this is me. And then your child sends a not deep fake image of himself or herself. And then that person goes, hey, I know who you are now from this conversation. I know where you live. I know who your family is. And I'm going to send this image to everyone you know unless you pay me $100, $1,000, $3,000, whatever it is. So let's start at the top. One, you have to have some kind of accountability on these devices so that if nudes are going back and forth, you know. Two, you have to have some kind of support on the device and the network so you know which apps your child has, because typically they're doing this through encrypted apps. They're going to use a Telegram, they're going to use a WhatsApp, they're going to use something that, Discord, something that is difficult to track from outside. So you have to know what your child is using and be aware if new apps are being added, because that's usually the way this works. So they'll say, hey, I loved meeting you on Instagram. I'd love to talk more. Let's meet up in this other app. And that is where a lot of the predatory behavior begins and a lot of the leveraging of relationships in order to get images and then to extort money. Sometimes they don't even want money. Sometimes they just want to cause chaos and seed harm. And there was a tragic case in the UK this last year of that, where a group of individuals bullied this young person to a tragic end, that they absolutely encouraged and gave pointers, and it was horrific. If you read the transcript of what was said and then what was done. The reason I share this is that wouldn't be as possible without the anonymity of the internet, the ability to deepfake another individual, and the ability to look for relationships on the internet. Kids now know this is an option because 3 in 5 teens are doing it. So they go looking for belonging on social media or with AI, and they end up in predatory situations where they are more vulnerable than they should be, because they should have real world relationships that feed the God-designed part of them to belong and to be known. And then the internet part, which is amusing, entertaining, and then I walk away. But as soon as we go to that digital space to belong, that digital cul-de-sac to find my friends, we no longer can be sure who those friends are unless you have real world relationships with them. So do not give them relational AI till they're 18. Be aware that deepfakes are a thing and that we must know what technology is available to our children through their devices. Before we give them those devices, we've already asked, is this safe? Are they ready? And is the fruit good from them using this technology? And then we continue to have loving conversations about how's it going? How are you feeling? What's going on in your life? What are your challenges? What are the blessings and benefits? Who do you play with online? Like, what's going on? This doesn't mean they can never play a game that has strangers in it. It does mean that if they're playing games with strangers in it, there have to be hedges to ensure they're not opening up third-party apps, and they're not going to other sites and locations with these individuals, and they're not sharing their deepest, darkest secrets with computer AI that is not set up to love them or care for them. All right. Oh, what to do with sextortion? Excuse me. The first thing is we report it to the app that they're conversing through. And again, apps are slowly beginning to actually respond to this. We have to contact the police, and we have to put up safeguards, generally walk away from that tech and see if there's something else causing this behavior for our child. Like, is there a mental health issue at the root of it? Or was it just a kid who was trying to have fun with others and did not realize the internet was not built for kids? There's some counseling that will be needed in that, some trauma response, some loving prayer, and some real world relationships to process whatever layer of harm, but we don't know up front. You have to ask those questions. So parents, please hear this. You are not responsible for what tech does. We do have the opportunity to parent the tech our children have access to and have in their lives. So if your child has already run into trouble, that's not a reflection on you as a parent. What is a reflection is how we're going to respond to this. Because a loving parent does not give their child a snake or a scorpion. They give their children eggs and fish because they've asked for something nutritional and something that will help them grow and something that will bring them satisfaction. And we do not hand them things that we know are inherently dangerous, that they don't have the context or the ability to protect themselves from. So we don't give them relational AI. We don't give them unfettered smartphones. We don't give them free access to the internet because they're quote unquote good kids. We don't simply blindly believe the best in them because, well, you know what? My kid would never deepfake somebody. They might. At the wrong time of day with the wrong set of people, they might. Because they're humans and they're fallible and they need a savior. And once they're saved, well, they're saved for a reason because they were broken. And the only thing that separates them from others is the Holy Spirit of God living in them and convicting them. And they don't have a frontal cortex. There are biological limitations to the amount of social pressure that they could probably withstand in a given moment. That will is like a muscle. It will fatigue. And so we want to give our children every opportunity for success. We want them to use the best tech well. So if you find a Christian AI that you've vetted and made sure works well, okay, think through that. But just because it says it's a Bible AI, don't trust it. Not on the current models of any that I've seen. Maybe you're making it. Maybe you know of one that I don't know of. Parents, we have to be relational. The response shows our love. The response shows our relationship. And that is what is our call as parents, is to be present in the hardship. So don't avoid the hard conversations. Don't beat yourself up if your child's made a mistake. Do tell school admin. Do tell the companies that produce this stuff. Do tell your administration. This is why your school should go phone free at least. Where there are no phones and absolutely one-to-one device free is coming, people. The research we're seeing on the benefits of having a laptop or an iPad in a classroom for every single kid is minimal. Yeah, you can use a tablet cart. We're like, hey, for this thing, we're going to go online and we're going to use it. And it's designed for education and it's safe for kids and it's in a network that has a hedge. Like, okay, there's a computer lab effectively. But the idea that our textbooks are just online, that our research is done through just Google searches, that all of our assignments are turned in digitally and our tests are taken digitally, like, it's going away. It's going away in real time. We will find a hybrid model so that we can teach all the kids we need to teach at the rate we need to teach them. And we can keep our kids safe and keep learning as the priority, not distraction. You get rid of smartphones and laptops in your school, your odds of deep faking, of sextortion, of online bullying, of running into relational AI during school hours using school devices, well, they drop significantly. And once you have a ecosystem of healthy relationships in person, which is what school could be really good for, then when children go to tech, they have a different norm. It's not what they're seeing every day in the hall. It's not what they're seeing. Well, it is. Their norm is what they see every day in the hall, but unhealthy tech use is not normative for them now. I strongly encourage you to talk to your school administration preemptively about what does their network look like? What safety measures are they taking specifically to ensure that children are safe online? What reporting is there? And then what tech does your child have access to during school days? Push for no smartphones in the school. The research is out there. Anxious generation is your foundation stone. And then it goes from there. And then begin conversations about what does a hybrid model look like to have a computer lab, not just a one-to-one. Every kid gets a laptop or an iPad and this will work well. And by the way, iPads would be your best case because those babies can be locked down real tight, not started in safe mode. And kids, the network managers can limit very effectively what is going on to an iPad versus a PC where a child can just start it up, make a partition, and now have a separate computer they're using on the same device with none of the school safety. So, yeah, good times. All right. In review, when raising our children with AI, there can be possible benefits, but there's three main concerns. Our three main concerns are relational AI, deepfakes, and sextortion. It does not make your child a bad child for running into problems here, but it does mean that they need direct, adult, and professional intervention, and that you are the first line of defense. Your first line of defense is relationship, then it's intentional hedges, and then it's physical space away from these devices. Your child does not need access to relational AI to be okay. and shouldn't use it till they're 18 because that's how it's designed. And we need to be at the forefront of making sure that the best tech is being designed so that we can use the best tech well. I know this was a lot. It was a lot for me to say. And frankly, I didn't go anywhere near. I'm over by like 12, 14 minutes on what I'd wanted to say. So this is probably turning into a two-parter in real time. In conclusion, then, my hope for you is that you feel equipped to at least begin using the words about AI. Understanding that relational AI, that should be an instant flag. Hey, you guys are using that? Can I see it? What do you talk about? Who do you talk to? Is it funny? Let me see that. Like, you don't have to drop the hammer and say, no, never. Like, start it with questions your children may already be engaging in, especially if they already have the tech to engage it. This is just beginning your conversation of inquiry. Come in curious. Okay. Then deepfakes. Know that they're out there. Not everything you see on Instagram and Facebook is real. Certainly. We didn't even talk about the fake news aspect of this. We are talking about the child safety aspect of this. Know that deepfakes are real, that 1 in 8 teens know someone who has been deepfaked in a sexual manner. It's unacceptable. And know that major companies, including Grok, which is an AI that I really appreciate the function of, and that's a horrible feature. Yeah, I don't believe that the internet should be allowed to just wantonly make pictures of minors and disseminate them as they like. So this feature needs some guardrails it does not currently have. Again, at the beginning of 2026, a conversation needs to start that. Talking about respecting others and how we even come to their defense and what that can look like to be a dead end. Even if we thought that the initial joke was funny, or even we're in the room and we thought this would be humorous, a good rule to use with our children is if the person isn't in the room with you when you're making any kind of image or recording regarding that individual, don't make it, don't disseminate it. Now, never nudify even people in the room. It's a terrible decision. It will get out sideways, right? Someone in that room will think it's funny or save it somewhere that someone else will see it, and don't do it. But when making jokes and memes and stuff, if the person isn't in the room, don't make it. Don't be a part of it. So that's just a rule we can talk to our children about. And then when it comes to sextortion, let them know what their value is. It's rooted in Christ. Let them know who loves them. You do. And you're going to do everything that is necessary to keep them safe, that there's always a relational outlet that they can come to you with anything. And then you need to tell the administration and or the tech company who's producing the platform this happened on so that police can get involved, so that these individuals can get shut down, so that the apps that we know of that are doing this can be brought to, well, maybe not to justice since a lot of it's anonymous, but they can get shut down and then get deplatformed, and they can at least make it so that they're not showing up in front of our children on a regular basis. And that people who want to make mistakes have to go to darker places to make those mistakes, and that their conscience will at least have a chance to stop them instead of it being right in front of them on an app that they thought was safe with people they were just trying to have a good time with. So I hope this is encouraging to you in terms of equipping you for the work. I hope that it is raising awareness on some of the concerns we've got for our young people. And I hope that it's empowering you with a little bit of frustration, a little bit of knowledge to push back against tech companies, push back against our schools, push back against people that are not thinking of our children first, and to think of our children first when it comes to these tech resources. If you have any questions for me, you can reach out to me, Nathan@gospeltech.net. We're also on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Love God, Use Tech, and you can join us next week as we continue this conversation about how we can raise kids who love God and use tech. I look forward to talking with you then.